Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Public Works and Safety. Today is July the 7th. We are streaming live on City Madison YouTube channel and archiving the meeting there. Clerk, will start with the roll call.
Sure. Carl Eaglin.
Here.
Bob Courtney.
Here.
And Dave Carlo.
Here.
Board, have you had an opportunity to review the minutes from our Monday, June 16th meeting? If so, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as printed.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. And now moving to claims.
Mayor had an opportunity to review the claims, the general docket and the payroll docket. With that, I'll make a motion that the claims be approved as submitted.
I'll second David's motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. No adjustments. We'll move on to new business. And we'll invite Chris Hale up here for a minor change order on our Clifty Drive project. Good morning, Chris.
Morning, guys. Yeah, so this is for a minor change order for the Clifty Drive project. It's, as you can see, $16,218, 20% of which we'll be responsible for. So, about $3,500 or so. This is for reducer couplings for a small change to the gas line. So they're having to move to go around a small issue in the project. As you can see, it totals about 0.1% of the overall project, so it's a pretty small change order, but it is something that's going to hold up construction.
Well, we don't want that to happen, so you want to give us an update too on the status of construction on Clifty Drive, our portion, the sidewalks?
Yeah, so the sidewalks, they were actually going to start today down towards Scooters for their entrance exit, which is a difficult one because it's not super wide and we're trying to keep them all open as we go. But they've progressed almost down to Michigan with the sidewalks. So they're making very good progress there. They've cleaned up the intersections like at Craigmont and Maine. And then I know another big question that people have is they are working to get Wilson Avenue reopened as quickly as possible. So we're hoping in the next 3 to 4 weeks that they'll have that back open. And
I'm glad you brought up the intersection there at Wilson, because I think there's a lot of confusion, people thinking that that is a city intersection. It's NDOT. NDOT has been trying to schedule the work repairs there, but what exactly happened there, Chris?
Yeah, so the culvert that runs under that road had a failure at one of the bands that holds the metal culvert together. It's a 4-foot culvert, a drainage culvert, right? So because that kind of curves across the road, one of those had collapsed and there was serious concern, either a school bus or a car. It was a hole big enough that there could be issues there. The reason it's taking so long, just so people understand, is the strain poles, the big poles at the corner that hold up the lights, one of those, the footing is right next to the culvert. So they're actually having to set a new strain pole and move the lights before they can dig the culvert out. They're worried about undermining the foundation and bringing the lights down, which is obviously a much bigger problem. So once they get the strain pole set, digging the culvert out and replacing it's a fairly simple procedure.
So is that moving that, is that Duke Energy have to move that?
It's actually the contractor, the same contractor that's doing the other. I think it's Midwest Electric will set the strain pole foundation and the pole itself, and that's all on a separate state DES number, so that's not a part of this project, but I just knew that's something that people have been asking. So
Yeah.
This is the only current change order open for the project that we have.
Was this just a infrastructure failure on the drain? It wasn't related to any of the work that's been going on?
No, it was
Clifty
not
Drive.
related to the work, whether or not it should have been planned to be part of the project. I don't really know. You know, I'm sure it was evaluated, but it was not planned to be. It seems like most likely the failure came because that culvert was not laid straight. That's something they used to do a lot. You know, they curve them basically 7 or 8 degrees at each joint and then put a band around it.
Mm-hmm.
So as that band failed, the road just kept starting to collapse inside there.
And another question, you might not be able to answer this, but the section between Wilson Avenue and Craigmont Street, is that area complete except for the final pavement? I just wonder why I mean, I'd never seen any work going on in that section, and I just wondered why that section of Clifty Drive couldn't be open back to 4 lanes.
Still a lot of orange barrels.
Yeah,
Yeah, so my understanding is they won't start opening that back until they mill and pave,
okay.
right? So they plan to start shortly at the, let's see, the west end, headed that way, milling and paving. And as they go along and get that done, they'll open it. But I can ask at the next meeting.
So basically, they want to get the project,
They want to get all.
they get all the storm work and the sidewalk complete before they open up the
Correct.
section of the road.
Yes, and then
And then
they'll,
they start milling and paving.
yes, that's
So,
my understanding. And we'll have.
That's kind of what I thought, but
Yeah, I do have a meeting Thursday to get an update on where they're at with that, but so it has a lot to do with the loops, they call them also, so the traffic loops and all, right? There's timing that has to do with that. There are a lot that need replaced, and you have to mill and then put those in and then pave over top of them in a coordinated effort.
Yeah.
So that's something, I believe there are maybe like 80 loops along the total project, something like that. So it's a pretty big undertaking.
And then the new pavement coming back, will that be 3 inches, 4 inches, 2 inches? Have any idea?
It's 4, I believe,
4
but I can double check that for you. Yeah, it's to the NDOT standard, so NDOT spec the roadway as part of the project, but I will review that and get you a for sure answer.
It's a lot of inconvenience, but you have to go through that in order to get to the improved part, which is a lot of the drainage and the sidewalks and the resurfacing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a 20-plus year project that you're working on, right? So it takes some work, and that's the same thing that we're dealing with at the TSO right now. We have started construction there, and I know that the public's getting a little bit impatient with some of the waiting and the slow times, but it's something where we're working hard to keep it open while we're doing this construction, right? And the alternative is to close it while we do the construction. So we're asking people to be as patient as they can with us, because it's definitely slowed up there.
back on Clifty Drive, is all the work on the north side of Clifty Drive completed?
So the sidewalks are in the area you were asking about, I noticed. I believe they're finishing up sidewalks down towards Circle K at Michigan, right there, and then they're at Scooters with the storm drain, which means they only have, what, a mile left or so on the
Oh, that's on the south side.
That's all on the south side.
on the south side. On
Yeah.
the north side of the road itself, they're done.
It's complete,
Yes,
so, okay.
yes, so that's all that's left there.
Yeah, I thought it was.
They've
so I
even
just-
poured the concrete divider going north up Michigan, like towards Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So all that'll need painted and striped and all that when they're done, obviously, but yes.
It's going to be a nice improvement when it's all finished.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
it'll look great.
Part of it, and we went over a winter cycle, so we had to suspend the work and then restart in the spring.
Yeah, and I know
So
they're
once the
still
asphalt plant's
pushing
closed
to
and
make
open.
sure that we get it paved this year and we don't bleed into next year, right?
Yeah.
So, believe me, I drive that road as much as anyone. I don't want to drive it any more than I have to.
Long time in the making. Any other questions for Chris before we before we have a motion to approve the change order?
Well, I make a motion, we approve change order number 10.
I'll second Carl's motion.
Any discussion, comments, or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
Great job over the course of the last several weeks getting ready for Regatta 2. Thank you. We have next up, Brian, are you going to come up and introduce the next topic, which is a rate consultants agreement by and between the City of Madison and Sherman, Barber, and Mulliken CPA firm?
Yeah, it pretty much lays out what we're doing there. It's an agreement we experienced significant cost increases and wish to evaluate the impact of those increases on the utility's financial position and to consider additional revenue requirements that may be appropriate to incorporate into customer rates and charges. That's pretty much sums it up.
Last rate
Due to
study
all
we
the
did was in 2022?
Yeah, the rate
Roughly?
increase was 2022, the rate study was 2021.
Yeah, so, and in
Been
fact,
4 years ago.
yeah, in fact, if you recall, I'll just mention this just for clarification. You know, as we were getting into evaluating all of our capital needs in utilities, one of the things we wanted to make sure that we did was more timely rate studies so that we can
Correct.
analyze our cost structure and support the future investment. And over the course of the last 30 years, it's been not as routine to do rate studies, and I think that put the city at a disadvantage from a capital needs perspective. And we did include in our ordinance when we adopted the last water rates, that we would evaluate the water rates not less than every 5 years, or I should say not more than every 5 years.
Yeah, right, not more than 5
Yeah,
years.
not more than every 5 years. We did the same thing with solid waste when we approved it. And then next year, we'll have to take an evaluation of what our sewer rate structure, and how it's holding up. So this is something that's we must do for the city, and Brian's introducing that agreement today.
I don't know if we need to read it, Joe, or is it, okay.
It's contract amount between $10,000 to $20,000, and Sherman, Barber, and Mulliken have been doing the city of Madison's rate studies for
30-plus years.
probably 30
yeah.
years.
Every rate study I've seen was Shermer Barber Mulliken.
Yeah.
Even from the 90s
So they're
and 80s, so yeah.
They're very familiar and also have a lot of data on the city of Madison's operations.
On this study, will they be using the year of 2025?
They'll probably be using
24.
224 because we're only halfway through 25. And you really need a full year to evaluate that.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were gonna start immediately or go on into next year with their.
But they may pull some, it depends on how long it takes, but generally we use the prior year. And they work in cahoots with my billing office and me and some of the treasurer stuff that I have access to. And then I just get them reports and they tell me what they need and I get it for them, and then they evaluate everything. They look at everything. If you've seen any of the rate studies, they look at quite a bit. And it's just an assessment. We don't know
Sure.
what's going to come of it yet, so.
So the plan is this year, complete the water updated study. 2026, we'll do an updated sewer study, rate study, and that will help us plan our capital investments for the next several years. I'll make a motion, we approve the rate consultants agreement between the city of Madison and Sherman, Barber, and Mulliken for the fee range to be between $10,000 and $20,000.
I'll second your motion.
Any discussion? Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Before we move on to the rest of the agenda, I'll invite another department head of economic development, Tony Steinhardt, to give some remarks and updates about our Main Street construction project, because we're moving into a construction phase here very shortly. Tony, welcome.
Yeah, happy 4th to everybody here. We're all sort of recovering from a great week. What a great week this community has to celebrate the birth of America. We will be starting Main Street here shortly. Phase 1 of that this fall will be between just to the east side of the Mill Street intersection through the Broadway Street intersection. And that will be sidewalk replacement, curbs, drainage, and then a mill and pave of Main Street between those points. There will be some changes. The master plan for Main Street conducted in 2019 through 2021 because of COVID, with a huge amount of community involvement and input. We're implementing the plan as approved, and so we're continuing to do that. This phase will set the character and tone for the rest of Main Street, which is, as we presented before, going to take several more cycles and years. We'll also be implementing on the west end here in Q3 the installation of decorative street lighting from Craigmont to the new trailhead at the Madison Connector Trail. That will be happening, as well as some sidewalk installations on West Main Street prior to the federal highway project, which will be next year. So our work has to be done prior to the federal highway project. So that'll be happening this fall. We do have and have hired a company to evaluate the properties along Main Street, and the mayor may want to talk more about that. We felt it was important to gain the condition of those structures and those businesses along Main Street, so that, as you can imagine, going in front of those businesses, taking out sidewalks, using heavy equipment, jackhammers and so forth, could potentially cause some damage. We want to make sure we have a baseline assessment of those properties for those owners as well as for the city, so that as that continues. And that's a pretty standard operating procedure in urban environments, especially in urban environments such as ours with very historic and very old structures. So we will be sending out notices to the residents. That should be happening here in the next week or so. They'll be being contacted to give us permission. They did not have to, but it is in the best interest, I think, if they do, but they certainly do not have to, so.
Yeah, I just want to mention on that note, some may have already received a letter from the company indicating they'll be doing the work. It's basically a pre-construction evaluation of approximately 30 structures that's in that footprint that we're going to be working on. It's a risk management process for us. We want to make sure that we're fully aware and the homeowners are fully aware of the condition of their property. So that's what the purpose of that assessment is for, so that if there is any potential damage from the work in that corridor, it's well documented. The documentation is going to be extremely important. If there is, if a claim does arise, at least we'll have the information to be able to work with our insurance company and our contractors to resolve any issues that may come up. So this is a good risk management tool for us and for the property owners, but we will be making additional contact with them. This is not if you've already gotten a letter, I'll just say that don't be alarmed by it. It is pretty routine and will help everybody involved through that process. And as Tony mentioned, this kind of kicks off the beginning of, we've already been working on this for about 4 years. Now we're finally doing construction, and we'll move into the federally funded road construction work next year and in 2027. So we have about 3 years worth of, I would say, inconvenience for us, but everybody wants a new Main Street. It's been 30 years since any work's been done on Main Street. We're going to make the road, that corridor, safer, much more pedestrian friendly, calming traffic, and it's going to be very, very nice. Tony,
Yeah.
keep going.
And I would say too, just for your interest, there will be times and periods of flaggers and slowing traffic down. We don't anticipate any necessarily complete road closures at this time, although we may have to, as we get into the intersections and do the stormwater replacement, there may have to be some minor detours, not again all day, but for a certain period of time, so they can work safely and efficiently in those intersections as they're putting in new pipes throughout that, so.
So the traffic on Second Street, Third Street will probably increase over the next few years.
Yeah, Second and Third will probably get a little bit more activity as Main Street goes through its cycle here. We can joke about we're entering the phase of irritation, I guess, would be the phase we're entering here. So, but I think everybody, as the mayor said, is looking forward to a revitalized Main Street, and we'll be real excited here at the conclusion of it. It's unfortunate it takes so long. It just takes so long to get these done with the various funding sources. We'll also be doing signal upgrades in the spring with a safety grant we received, as well as east end striping. So there's a lot of phases and a lot of different funding sources that are being used, which sometimes don't necessarily stack neatly in a project. So we'll just have to work with the funding sources and their requirements and schedules. And
As deep as you're going, I mean, the drainage off of Main Street, those issues where the sidewalk is even with the curb, those issues should go away.
yeah, our goal is to redo all the pipes going down under Main Street for drainage, as well as dealing with each intersection, and then trying to get back to as close as we can to a 6-inch curb. We won't be able to do that in all of the phases just because of the funding structure and the expense there, but the goal is to try to get the curbs back to a standard 6-inch. And again, in some of those phases, we have to work with the historic gutters and understand those impacts and those sorts of things, and we're working with our consultants to do all that.
Yeah, I'll just mention that this project was put in motion in 2014 when the city agreed to take over about 4.5 miles of this corridor from NDOT, which was formerly a state highway. By the time we actually complete all the engineering and planning, designing and construction, because of what Tony was describing as the variable funding sources, we anticipate being able to maybe complete this project by 2030. So put that in perspective, it started in 2014, and in 2030, we may be ramping it up. It's just due to the size and complexity and expense of it all. But we're not quitters. We're going to persevere until it's all done.
Keep going. If there's any
Yep.
questions, feel free at any time to stop in and ask those. Chris Hale and myself and the contractors will work to keep the community informed and try to keep the closures and the craziness to a
inconvenience,
minimum.
yeah.
Yeah. So, thank you.
Tony, I have one question.
Yes, sure, go ahead.
Will any of the water main along Main Street be replaced while the road is tore up?
We have been working with Mr. Jackson, and he has his capital plan. There are certain areas that may need some replacement, but for the most part, as I understand it, we're making those ahead of any capital investment on top of the street.
I just thought about it because Friday morning, 4th of July, 900 block of West Main Street, we had water bubbling up through the pavement.
That was a
and
service line, I think, wasn't it, Brian?
So,
And most of the services have been replaced, if I'm
Right.
not
A
overstating.
lot of the services, where he's talking about, that there's not a lot that needs replaced in that area. You're gonna have service line problems.
Yeah.
Whenever and
Yeah.
wherever. But the main is in pretty good shape. The further west you go, that's gonna be incorporated into the future projects, any replacement of water lines and sewer lines. The sewer lines, we may do some work before they actually get there to help alleviate some of the costs of the road project.
Yeah.
Yes, on the
Thank you.
federal highway projects, the utilities was a line item in that, and it gives us the ability to potentially fund some of that work. But there is some work that may take a place ahead of time. But in this Mill to Broadway stretch, Brian's pretty confident in the condition of those lines, and their engineers, Commonwealth, has been advising us on what to do.
okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks so much, appreciate it. Now we'll get into the rest of today's business. Joe, I'll turn it over to you for the first resolution.
Yes, this is Resolution 2025-36B, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding street closings for the Unbroken Circle Music Festival. Whereas there's been a request filed by Brent Turner on behalf of the Unbroken Music Festival Committee for street closings in connection with the Unbroken Music Festival to be held on Thursday, September 4th, 2025 through Saturday, September 6th, 2025. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety that the following streets shall be closed from Monday, September 1st, 2025 at 8 a.m. through Monday, September 8th, 2025 at 12 p.m. Vaughn Drive from the east side of Mill Street to the west side of Jefferson Street, Vine Street south of Visit Madison parking lot to Vaughn Drive, Elm Street south from First Street to Vaughn Drive, Broadway south from the Brown Gym to Vaughn Drive, Poplar Street south from First Street to Vaughn Drive, Central Avenue south from First Street to Vaughn Drive. Homeowners shall have access. West Street from First Street south to Vaughn Drive, and that'll be yours for the area for emergency vehicles. And First Street between West Street and Second Street entrance to Heritage Apartments.
And we have Brent Turner and Drew Eads here. Come on up and introduce yourselves and tell us about Unbroken Circle, because it's maybe first of its kind here in Madison, Indiana, right?
Yeah, it's our first year. Of course, it's not our first event here in Madison, but yeah, it's obviously, like you said, September 4th through 6th. Doing the same thing that we've always done, basically bringing the same type of music, country, rock, southern rock, bluegrass, the whole thing, yeah.
So describe, I guess, what you need here relative to the footprint as Joe had described it. Pretty large footprint. This is
Pretty
like
large footprint.
this is almost like a regatta-sized footprint.
It's similar, yeah, a little bit smaller, but
Using the Visit Madison lawn there that they have in front of the Visit Madison place for like camping and RVs. So from the winery down will be closed from Mill Street, and then all the way over to Jefferson Street. Jefferson Street will be open for the ramps and boats to be able to get down to the ramp, leave one of the ramps open, and then close from there over.
obviously our biggest concern is public safety.
Yeah.
So,
We want to leave those businesses open though, like that's a main priority for us too, is for the businesses to remain open, like the ice cream and the winery and certain places like that.
And where will there be camping? Because are you doing RV camping as well, similar
Yeah,
to what we were
correct.
doing for the regatta?
yeah,
Very
very
similar.
similar. Yeah, all the same RV hookups and stuff, yeah.
And tell us a little bit about where the sales are coming from. You've indicated that there's been dozens of thousands of tickets sold in dozens of
Yes.
states.
Yeah.
So you expect this to be a popular event?
Yeah, as of today, we've sold in 40 states. We're missing just 10 states that we're trying to get to, Alaska and a couple others. But we've sold in 40 states. Ticket sales are really good. Definitely could, use the local support from the community to help, because hotels are a big problem for us with having that many people coming from out of town. But sales are really good.
You're going to sell out all the hotels, for sure.
We're expecting,
Very close. Yeah.
I would say, we've been saying 15 to 20,000. This is kind of hard to get,
Wow.
a guesstimate. But 15, I would say, is our low end.
That's going to be exciting. It's going to be great music. And
Thank you.
for everybody watching here, go buy your Unbroken Circle Music Festival passes, all right?
Yeah.
And will there be weekend?
UnbrokenCircleFest.com.
UnbrokenCircleFest.com. Will there be like weekend passes, like packages people can buy?
So there's single days for each day. There's a 2-day pass, so in case you can't go on Thursday, and then there's a 3-day pass. So it's separated whichever days you want to come to, so.
Good. Well, thank you, guys. I know that you've been working on this all for the past year.
Yeah, we're excited
I know it's going to be a great success, and we look forward to partnering with you guys on it.
Thank you.
Go ahead, you got questions?
I guess the main event will be at Bicentennial Park.
Correct.
Stage,
Yes.
uh,
Basically, everything.
Everything
All
will be
music
in there.
happens in the
all
park.
music.
Yes.
We have food trucks available.
Yeah, they'll
and-
be on
West Street.
West Street along the Bicentennial Park and at the top.
Okay,
Just out on the outskirts of it, though. We won't have any food inside the park.
okay.
It's going to be fun.
And
It will be.
Looking forward to it.
I guess
I'll move. I'll move that we approve Resolution 2025-36B.
I'll second the mayor's motion.
Okay, any additional comments by the board? Any comments or questions from someone in the audience? Please come up and identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Jan Vatrus at 701 East 2nd Street. Just a question. I'm excited about the program, but the parking is Labor Day weekend, right?
It's the fall weekend.
You said the 1st of
You said
September?
4th, 5, and 6.
It's got from Monday, September 1st.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
The street
And
closure.
so that
Street
will
closure.
affect Crystal Beach. We need to make sure we do not close Crystal Beach because it will be open. That's the final weekend. And we did have some issues with Regatta, so could you please
What issues do we have with
adjust that?
Regatta? I'm not aware of those.
Well, people didn't know where to park. They finally put up a sign how to get into Crystal Beach, but all along Vine Drive, there were signs for no parking, but people were parking. But then the west entrance to Crystal Beach was blocked off. So if you could park on Vine Drive, you had to walk all the way around First Street, down, and then back to to Crystal Beach.
We'll figure it
So
out.
it's really hard. So I would encourage you not to close off access to Crystal Beach and a place to park for Crystal Beach on
And I think the
Labor
way
Day
it would
weekend.
generally work is, even though there's a closure there, it's going to ramp up throughout the course of the week, so it won't be like all shut down all at one time. Duly noted. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
we'll work it out. Thank you,
I
Jan.
hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll do our best.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed? We're only opposed to not having a good time.
Oh,
So
yeah.
let's make sure we're having fun.
Oh, yeah,
Same.
absolutely.
All right, thank you,
Thanks
guys.
for all your help.
Appreciate it. Speaking of having a good time,
Next is 2025-37B. This is for the annual Soup Stew Chili and Brew. This was a request on that Alex Hilton on behalf of the Madison Chamber of Commerce for street and parking lot closings in connection with the Soup Stew Chili and Brew Festival to be held on Saturday, October 11th, 2025. And this is now therefore be resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following street shall be closed for parking purposes only from 6 p.m. on Thursday, October 9th through 9 p.m. on Saturday, October 11th. And that is West Street from Main Street to north to Fountain Alley. And then be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety that the following streets and parking lots shall be closed on Saturday, October 11th, 2025, from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And that's Main Street from the west side of Jefferson Street to the east side of Broadway Street, West Street from Main Street north to Fountain Alley, West Street from Main Street south to Heights Lane, Mulberry Street from Main Street north to Fountain Alley, Mulberry Street from Main Street south to Heights Lane, Broadway Street from Main Street north to 3rd Street, each alley running north and south from Main Street to Fountain Alley between Jefferson Street and Broadway Street, each alley running south from Main Street to Heights Lane between Jefferson Street and Broadway Street, and the city parking lot located at the corner of Main Street and Poplar Street.
All right. Jeremy, you and Alex are going to come up and present this plan, and thank you guys for all your work, as well as with Brent and Drew there. Tell us a little bit more about the Soup Stew Chili and Brew, especially the chili part, because if it's a nice, cool fall day, it's awesome.
And we were blessed with really good weather last year. So
Yeah.
that helped a lot. No, this is our 23rd year of having the Soup Stew Chili and Brew. This will be Alex's second year kind of running it here. Last year was pretty short notice for her, but she's ready for it this year. And
Alex, you look really thrilled.
It's
She's like, we're going to get it done.
It's a fun event, but we're all happy the day after it's over too.
Yes.
So you can relax a little bit. So no, we know it's a large road closure and one of the very few where Main Street is closed for the whole day. But we just really feel that it brings in a lot of visitors to Madison and the community that can help out our chamber members as well as the city at large.
Yeah.
And we think it's worth it.
There's only been one other Main Street road closure that I'm aware of since I've been mayor, and that was for the reveal of the marquee restoration with Rusty Bladen playing on the marquee, and that was a fun night too. So it is very rare, very, very rare that we would close such a busy street as Main Street. But this is a great event too, and we're closing it for the one day. I know that there's other streets that may have a little longer closure, but appreciate everything that you all do for this. Board, do you have any questions?
What was the number on your crowd? I mean, you had big crowd last year. Did you have an estimate of how many people was there?
I think it came in around 75 to 8,000. It's kind of, that data's hard to gauge a little bit because you have some people who spend,
Yeah.
maybe 15, 20 minutes in there that make a purchase, but then they dip out, so it's hard to account for them. But we guesstimated around maybe cap at 10,000 this year, just because of the steady increase that we've seen looking back at the data that Ms. Madison's went over with us with Andrew. So that's what we're kind of shooting for this year.
And we're expanding our advertising a little bit to target more like include Indianapolis and some other areas that are a little bit farther out than we normally have in the past, to see if we can bring in kind
Yeah, I
of
saw
some
your
new
ad on the
faces.
Kentucky channels quite a bit.
Well, good.
Are you doing the kid fun zone again in the parking lot over there? I think that
Yes.
works out really well.
Yeah, and we're expanding that a little bit more too. We're really trying to make sure that it feels like an affordable festival. Our ticket prices, we're still doing $1 ticket. Cup sizes are still the same, prices for those. We just want to make sure that families feel like they can come down and enjoy it. The kids have something to do, the adults have something to do, food connoisseurs get their stomachs full, so.
It's a great local event, but, I think that there's been even greater regional presence with this, and people coming to, I have friends that come into this and saying it's the funnest thing they do all year long, and it's the only time of the year you really get to kind of enjoy Main Street in a different way than, this corridor it is now.
Yeah, that
So I think it's a cool
coordination
event.
with local businesses means a lot to us, so I think in my time in this position, having conversations with businesses about what can we do to make the experience better for you, as well as improving the attendee experience, like having more of like a welcome center at each end of Jefferson and Broadway, making sure that we don't place large food trucks in front of open businesses on that Saturday. Things like that, just to find a nice balance, make sure everyone's getting the visibility and the traction that they should that day.
Good coordination. Thank you for doing that, Alex. Any other questions for Jim and Alex?
As with all festivals, we just hope the weather cooperates.
Yes.
That's
absolutely.
the main thing, so yes.
It's been nice. We've been able to add some additional tent seating as well for those rainy days. Hopefully we don't have that.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-37.
I'll second the motion.
Any additional discussion, board? Any comments or questions from anyone in the audience?
Great event.
Yeah, it's great. And again, everybody, so many people volunteering to put these events on, and it's a completely selfless act. I really appreciate and grateful for everybody who does it, because it takes so much work to have that 1 or 2 days of experience for so many people that enjoy it, who are counting on you to do it. But anyway, really appreciate everybody's work on it. It's what makes Madison great. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Take care. And now we'll move into code enforcement.
We have amended.
Oh, we do have, I just want to note this, I don't think we have to, but for the record, we adopted recently Resolution 2025-18B regarding parking space closings for movies in the park. There was an addition of a movie, which is, and a street closure, August the 1st. So what this will read is, whereas there has been a request filed by Brett Ricketts on behalf of the City of Madison for the closing of certain parking spaces in connection with movies in the park to be held on June 20th, July 2nd, and August the 1st, and September the 19th. So we just added that date, August the 1st, to have the same closures as the other dates. And this parking spaces between Central Avenue and West Street on the north side of Bond Drive shall be closed from 4 to 10 p.m. on the dates for the movies in the park, which now include August the 1st. We adopted it May 5th, and we're amending it the 7th day of July. So for the record, clerk, good? Okay. I'll make a motion, we approve the amended resolution for 2025-18B.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion, comments, or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks for reading that. Thank you. Okay. Dewey, welcome.
Good
We always,
afternoon.
We always appreciate you and the staff, Brian, on Clean, Safe, and Beautiful, making Madison clean, safe, and beautiful.
I know why I'm at the end of the meetings now, because you have all these great things happening, and then I come
You're
up.
not quite at the end. Brenda's got even some greater things
Well, that's
happening
true.
afterwards.
Brenda, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, Brian's here in case you have some technical.
Well, let me ask you a question, because I think,
Please.
I don't know if John is here to speak on behalf of one of the PACE applications, but perhaps we should go ahead and do PACE first, because this
Sure.
code enforcement presentation is going to take a little while. Would you mind if we skipped ahead and let
No.
Brenna, would you prefer to do that?
I think she stepped out, but
She stepped out.
Brian will go get her, sure.
I want to also be, recognize John Musil being here, and John, thanks for being here, and I know that you're on one of the PACE things, so when Brenna gets up here to speak, we want to
He's the very first one.
be considerate of your time, too. Yeah. Dewey, is this okay with you? I know you've got a lot to say on the, I didn't want to shorten your time either. Didn't want you to feel rushed. You know how much I love talking about a clean, safe, and beautiful Madison.
You'll have the rest of the afternoon, dude.
Yes.
However long it takes.
We're bringing, let's see here, we should be getting some bellows here in a few minutes. Hey, thank you, John. Yeah, we have pictures of, I'll share this with the doors and windows.
Oh, man, it looks.
Good morning, Brenna.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, I should say. Let's talk about Springdale.
So this is a request for an extension for the chapel at Springdale Cemetery. Do you want to explain?
Sure. Well, first thing I need to do is I want to thank you very much for your help. Without the city's help and the county commissioners through the historic preservation funds that the county has and a couple of private foundations, we wouldn't have gotten anywhere in this project. So we're greatly, greatly appreciative.
Thank you, John.
As some projects do, it takes longer than what we planned. We started 2 years ago and thought that we'd be done within a year, and then we got our first extension, and we're not done at the second year, but we've made great progress, and you can see by those pictures, the before and after pictures of the stained glass windows and then the facade. The facade completely pressure washed, completely tuck pointed, roofing repaired, new gutters and downspouts, new front doors recently installed. Basement's been dried out, has a sump pump in it with a door back there in the back. So the exterior repairs are basically done with the exception of stained glass windows. There's 5 stained glass windows there. 2 of them are installed. The other 3 are waiting to be installed. So Rhonda Deek's been working on that project and does a great job, but she's one person and does a lot of things. It just takes time, is my only point. We spent about $94,000 on this project today, probably have another $10,000 to $15,000 to get completely done. So
Beautiful building. Thank you and the whole team at Springdale for preserving that and all the care you give for the Springdale Cemetery too, because it's a really, really valuable part of our community. This project looks amazing. We're proud to be part of it. And we fully understand how long a preservation project like this takes. But thank you guys for all the fundraising you did for for this project. And we're looking here today, Brenna, for an extension request to July 15th, 2026. And so this is one of the most.
One last thing, it was built
Yeah.
about 1930 by Harold Laurie, who was the contractor at the time. So this is really the first, to my knowledge, the first major renovation, restoration of it.
Wow.
In almost 100 years, so.
It's beautiful, and you've given us a tour of it. Will the chapel eventually be open for
Yes.
use at this cemetery?
Yes. Yeah. Bad weather funerals, or people might want to have an indoor funeral service. We're talking about ways to open up the community for, like maybe a Sunday afternoon,
Yeah.
Memorial Day, to be open for meditation or those types of things. It isn't gonna, although you have some great festivals.
Yeah.
Cemetery's not gonna have those kind of
Even maybe
events.
during the tour homes.
Oh, that's true.
I think it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And the exterior, tell us a little bit about what went into the exterior cleaning of that historic
We
block.
lucked out and got Anderson Restoration, which is the masonry or historic preservation masonist, and they've been working on Alcorn's building down there.
Yes.
That's chimney. They're the same guys. You can see by, this picture and then the before and after there.
Yeah.
It's just.
The before and after is
It was
remarkable.
all tarred up and just a mess, and the tuck pointing, after 100 years, it needed repair. The biggest thing is that, and you can't tell really by those, was the front steps. The front steps were concrete, but they had dipped to where, if they were supposed to be this far a step into
Yeah.
the building, they were this far, and then those side entrance, I don't know what you call them, but along the sides there, they'd pretty much decayed to where they were, the coating of the stone on top of them was loose or gone, and different things like that. So they were there a good month, and like I say, pressure washed it, re-tuck pointed it, did the front steps, dried out the basement, installed the sump pump to get the water out of there. Did a great job. Was not cheap.
No, not cheap, but look at the results. We've got pictures up here of what John just shared with us with regard to the exterior. It looks, the building as well as the stained glass is just beautiful. How long have you been involved with the Springdale Cemetery Board, John?
Oh, gosh, more than 20 years.
20 years. Well, thank you for serving there.
Thank
It takes you and a team to care about these structures, and we're really happy you did. We're happy to be part of it.
Because, it's part of our community's history, and there's, not that you want to get there soon, but there's plenty of former mayors
I don't wanna-
there.
Everybody wants to go to heaven, but just not right now.
A lot of history.
Yes, a lot of it.
Any questions? I move that we approve the extension as requested.
I'll second the
We have a
mayor's
second. Any discussion? Questions from the board, comments or questions from the audience?
Just another success story.
Beautiful.
So,
Brenda, good work. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
John, thank you very much, sir. We'll move on. Brenna?
Okay, so I have one midpoint and one final. So our midpoint is 821 Walnut. So this is the brief before and after. This is a rehab grant, so they are requesting just half of that, which will be $37.50. And so far, they have painted the exterior. They've worked on window repair. They've prepped them to replace the windows on the top floor. And they have refinished and replaced the front door so far. And it's not super clear, but they have also replaced the roof.
Yeah, so another great improvement to North Walnut Street. And I want to thank our young entrepreneurs here. They're very, very young. Foster Medford and Jackson Stockdale are doing the work on this restoration and preservation. So great to see, and I'm grateful for their investment they're making down there in one of our targeted revitalization areas. One building at a time, we're bringing Walnut Street back.
I'll make okay.
Yeah, ready.
I'll make a motion, we approve the midpoint, 821 Walnut.
I'll second your motion.
Board, any comments or questions? Discussion? Any comments or questions from the audience? Hearing none? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay, and our final is 1030 Park Ave. This was a dilapidated structure, and they did not get a midpoint, so they are requesting the full amount. Some of the work that they did includes the rebuilding of the brick walls on the backside, and replacing some of the openings with steel beams to allow for that addition there. They've tuck pointed. They replaced all of the vinyl windows that were there when they moved in with proper aluminum clad replacements. And they replaced all of the broken lintels.
A beautiful project, great investment for the community. A very expensive investment for the Mangionis who own this, but so happy that they took this on. That property has been vacant for as long as I can remember, just sitting there deteriorating. And this is what we want. We want those properties to change hands so that a new owner can come in, restore it, and write the next chapter for that property. And look how beautiful it is. It's going to be great. I'm only disappointed I haven't had a tour yet, so I'm going to have to make arrangements for that. It looks amazing.
It's a good example of your first impression when you come into Madison off of State Road 56.
Yeah.
To see a project like this.
Yeah, because you can see the stripe of the highway right there in front of the picture. That's how close that structure is to the road. The rear living space is going to be phenomenal with the river views.
I'll make a motion, we approve the final on 1030 Park Avenue.
I'll second your motion.
Any discussion, comments, or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
There's a property on Mulberry Street, I noticed they're stripping the old green nasty paint, I guess.
Taking it back to the brick.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice project, that really helped the neighborhood.
The Browns acquired that, and that corridor is really making a comeback too. I love seeing all the neglected properties over the years get their new lives through new owners.
Yes.
Mostly. Anything else, Brenda, you want to share with us?
Nope, that is it.
And when's the next round for PACE?
Our meeting is Tuesday of next week.
Tuesday of next week? Lots of applications?
Not so many. We have a couple of dilapidated and I think one target area, because that's all that we have money left for.
Okay. Look forward to seeing those. Thank you. Now we'll move into the main attraction.
I think he left.
Oh. Dude, thanks for being here. He's going to give us an update on our nuisance and vacant and abandoned structures.
Yeah, we've got a lot to cover this afternoon. Lots of pictures of some data, of course, that I collect over the 6-month update that I'm going to give you today. So Nicole will go forward. Here's just a slide regarding, so I began January 3rd, 2022, and these are the numbers. Of course, you can see 2025 year-to-date, but we can make some comparisons on the different types of nuisance violations that exist. What stands out to me is that already at a midpoint of the year, we're at 292 cases, and we did 324 cases last year all combined. So yeah, Nicole?
I continue to be amazed at how many abandoned vehicles we have across the community. And at 48 year-to-date, and you're talking about 190 over the course of the last 3.5 years. Just remarkable that is a problem that plagues our community. And then all the other, so 3.5 years, we're closing in on 1,500 cases approximately.
Nearly 1,500. Yeah, and so the spike too, a few months ago, I'm now tagging vehicles on the street as well as the police department.
Yeah.
So I think that number has increased due to my ability to do that now, so. Okay, now just some examples of what I'm seeing. I keep telling myself I've come across the worst case in the city, and I keep finding new ones. These are two separate pictures. It kind of looks like one combined, but this is up on the hilltop, not far from the park. Cool. Same property, just a mess. Absolutely.
These are Clifty Falls State Park.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
These are really difficult cases to resolve too, because you're talking about mostly decades of this happening with really no enforcement, and you're really relying upon homeowner cooperation to correct it. In some instances, that's going to be very mixed.
Yeah, it is difficult with these type cases because you're right. They still have some connection to what's there, even to us. It may not, seem right, or it's a violation, but they have some connection to this stuff, and it's, of course, we go in and try and abate, but I also give homeowners a certain period of time, much like we do with unsafe cases now. We as long as we've got a plan in place, we allow them to work at it over a certain period of time. So,
Is this a residence?
yes, sir.
People live there?
Yes, sir. That's their backyard. Yeah. I know. Cool. Of course, grass and weeds is although there were multiple violations here, this picture is just showing the grass situation that was there, probably 3 foot high. Mayor just mentioned abandoned, there's 3 right there, in one backyard. So, cool. Always furniture, mattresses, we do have a process in place for them to call in to the street department. We'll come out and pick it up on Wednesdays, but still, it's always a problem.
Got a question on that.
Yes, sir.
I noticed going through the claims over the weekend that there were several cases where we had to pay an individual or contractor to come and haul away mattresses and furniture, substantial amount of money. Do we recover any of that expense?
It's a good question, and yes, so just first part of June, we get the check in. So what happens in these cases, contractors will go out. I will give the property owner time to pay for the contractor's fee specifically. If that is not paid in a certain period of time, in this case, or in all cases, 20 days, I then get a lien on the property for the contractor's fee, as well as our fines and any mailings, different things, right? So in this case, in the first part of June, we received just shy of $9,000 back from the previous, so it would have been from May through December of last year, or maybe it was through June of this year. But so to answer your question, yes, it's a lengthy process.
I mean, I know we do that with cutting grass and weeds and, I see all those, but I mean, the cases I was referring to, they're $300 or $400 to haul stuff away from each residence. So,
Yeah.
So,
But yes, we do.
Yeah, okay.
A project for me this summer, and probably will go into the fall, is reconciling all of our liens.
Yes.
To ensure that I know exactly where we're at. best I can tell you, we were at $26,000 that we were owed. That's probably the first of the year. And now we've gotten this 8,000. So we're under 20,000 is
Yeah.
what we're still owed. But
So I just want to point out, so the clerk's office, according to the code book, is the officer to collect the fines, and they have been woefully undercharging for years. So we're working on that with Dewey and with Sean, and we're come up with a solution, and I'm not sure if it's this team or the council that would adjust those rates. I'm guessing the council would adjust those rates.
Yeah, we would do an
to help
amendment
cover-
to our ordinance. There's multiple ordinances through our different codes that assess fines and fees, and then what clerk treasurer is referring to is the Violations Bureau. We're responsible for collecting them, so it does, I mean, it's been probably decades since they've been evaluated, but we're going to tackle that.
And I just want to compliment yourself, Dewey, and your office, Nicole, because they do take care of processing those liens on the property, processing once a payment's been made, they release those liens. They're doing a stand-up job on top of just going out and issuing the fines. They chase them down and make sure that they're taken care of. So I just want to applaud what you guys are doing, and I know that's a lot on you, Dewey, so it's well recognized. You're doing a great job, but
no, thank you.
that is something that we started last fall to look at, and where we've gotten is really busy with other things. So we're going to be, I just told him this morning, as a matter of fact, that we're going to be opening those discussions back up again.
Yep.
Now that we're right before budget season, we're going to open those discussions up again and try to narrow down a little bit more
Well,
balanced structure.
And it shouldn't fall upon the taxpayers to pay to have
No,
it- personal
and
property
think
cleaned up.
Yeah, I think what he's doing is an excellent,
Yeah, I
he's giving
agree.
you an excellent presentation, and that's just not the pictures and where he's finding people, he's chasing the fines as well, so, great job.
Thank you. I don't know what was happening here. This is either a frat party or, something was going on here, but this is down near the corner of Craigmont and West Main Street. Nicole? Always trash, always furniture left out, different things, renters come and go. Typically, it's those situations. Another, I don't know what it was that week or what it's been this year, but cans seem to be,
Pre-gaming it for a regatta.
yeah, maybe that's what it was. Yeah. This is someone's courtyard, not far from where we're standing, or where I'm standing. More grass and weeds. Okay, little information on unsafe, and I need to apologize, the chart's a little bit off, but essentially we, since I've been here, I've identified 164 cases of what we considered unsafe structures. Because of a new ordinance that's come into place, we'll talk about that in a second. We considered many of those unsafe because they had been vacant for a certain period of time, and Brian can maybe talk about the different things that go into that. But one of the stipulations, or one of the requirements that makes it unsafe is that it's been vacant for 6 months or longer and not being used. So that was the initial cases. We've moved 96 of those 164 cases to our new ordinance, which we'll talk about. But still, we have 19 current and active cases that we consider unsafe, either structurally or for some reason. So, Nicole? Oh, Mr. Carlo, here you go, young man. This is some success stories. This was 755 West 3rd Street in the alley. We finally got that taken care of this year, and that's what it looks like today.
How many years was that in the making? Took a long time.
You've been here for, I don't know.
Took a long time.
Yeah,
At least 2.5 years.
yeah. We're really proud of that
2.5 years
one.
in a concerted effort, and it's been like
Yeah.
that for probably 30 years.
We're really proud of that one.
Yeah.
As the firefighters know, this had a structural fire some time ago. That's near our city garage. That's the before. It's the after. Got that taken care of this year. This, you folks can tell me how long it's been vacant too. I don't know. Mr. Kelly could tell us, but that was the before picture, the after. We still need a little bit of cleanup to do.
Was that the Lafayette Street?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
It's a
off the
cute
edge.
little street. I mean, everybody deserves to live in a clean neighborhood and adjacent to another property that's maintained.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have that everywhere.
This is a recent success, so that was a before picture that we considered structurally unsafe, and it was actually pulled down with a Prius, of all things.
Well, just to
But-
mention here on those three you just showed.
Sure.
All of those, I want to thank the property owners. They were all
Absolutely.
self-abated.
Yep, they were also.
So we're grateful that they did that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we are. And still some things that remain structurally unsound, Elm Street location.
Is there being work done with this one right here? Came by there today and I saw something that was, something had been removed, maybe the tarps have been removed. See the blue tarps between the buildings?
Yeah.
Those have been
It
removed.
might have fallen off, I don't know.
I just wondered if somebody was,
The issue here has been, I mean, we identified this some time ago, but the issue here has been between the neighbors. The gentleman, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, with the issue wants to, is willing to repair and get it, abated, but the access to it is limited by
yes.
the neighbor.
Those two cottages there are very nice.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
And they'll, or could be, but you hate to see it be installed by a neighbor.
Couldn't they do crane work? I mean, wouldn't crane work assist in the repairs there?
You can't get the lift to the front of the back, all the high tension wires there in the back, it just drops straight off.
Fireman's
You
Park,
have to
so
access
they'd
this
be
in
behind.
order to get to that, so.
Wow, not in the front either.
That's right there, post office, and then behind it, you got Fireman's Park, which is hard to get into
Right.
anytime with all of
Right. I'll go down and check to see if there's been some updates to that. Okay. This is one of our inhabited unsafe structures, West Third Street. Cool. Okay, so our new ordinance is the vacant and abandoned structures ordinance. The 96 properties that had come off of the unsafe, what we considered unsafe, have been moved to this ordinance. Some initial letters have gone out, and we'll slowly roll that over the rest of those out over the coming months. Cool.
And earlier, when we were adopting that, I think you did a graphic that kind of showed where all those were located. And again, these are vacant and abandoned, and it's almost 100 properties. So we've got a lot of work to do to continue to clean up our neighborhoods with those owners.
Yes, we did have that. I probably should have put that graphic in here, but there's not an area, let's call it voter district. There's not a council district that doesn't have at least one vacant or abandoned.
Concentration of it's downtown in the first district, but they're all over town, is
They
what
are.
you're saying.
All over town, yep. Okay, cool. Same property, just the rear, right downtown here.
That Garrison Street?
Yeah.
Jefferson Street. Yeah. Probably not the best pictures, I apologize there. That was
It's an old Walnut. Hendricks, Walnut.
Hendricks, that's North Walnut there, 900 block. I left the Moody Park stuff in here. I didn't know if we wanted to have any update. I see Mr. Jenner's gone. Moody Park is still an issue for us. Mayor may want to comment on.
Just comment that the state license for Moody Park to operate as a licensed mobile home park is continued to be withheld by the state pending resolution of the order by the Board of Public Works and the property owner there on the removal of the unsafe and dilapidated trailers there. It's still in court. That began in 2022, I think, is when we issued the stop work order. Board of Public Works determined they were unsafe in 2023, and here we are mid-2025. We'll probably, there's a new attorney involved on the owner's side, and we're working through that, but this has no end in sight, unfortunately.
Okay, Nicole. All right, Mr. Carlo, here's your success story, what I believe is a great success story. This is on Walnut Street, just across 421 there. These are the initial pictures. Again, I thought when I came upon this, that this was probably the worst case that I had come upon as far as unclean, disorderly, trash, and the creek being right behind this out structure, just a bad situation. And this is what it looks like today. So,
Great, looks beautiful.
Yes.
So going forward, yeah, we'll just continue to evaluate the ordinances, improve the processes. I'd like to take some classes, I was telling the mayor, to do better with the data that we collect. So much data there that we can use to analyze things. Talking about the fines and penalties with the clerk treasurer to motivate folks via the Ordinance Violations Bureau, so.
Is there state training available for this kind of?
I have the ego that I can get into a Notre Dame program. I don't know if that's the case, but, so, I told my girlfriend I just have to raise the money to try and get in if I was able to get in there. So, it's a master's of business analytics is what it is, so, but I think we can use that.
The analytics is what drives results.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really do. Good job on all this. I know you and Brian worked very, very hard.
Yes.
There is an enormous amount of work to do. An enormous amount of work has been done. It's all about making our community and the quality of life here better, and we're accomplishing that. One property owner, one block at a time.
We'll keep at it.
And we have to keep at it.
Thank you.
We do.
Your success story on Walnut Street. What did you do? How was you able to get that looking the way it was to what it looks like today? What was your process? Just the owners cooperated, or?
Essentially, that's the key, right? Because the process stays the same. We talk about this all the time. The process, we have to be the same, no matter who the property owner is. The process has to stay the same.
Right.
Otherwise, there's, bias, or,
Right.
we're
Everybody's treated the same.
Exactly. And here, we just had, in fact, the owner, right, Miami? Mr. Martinez,
Yeah, he has a couple homes on Walnut Street, so
Okay.
they were very, very good to work with.
and he came in one weekend, and Brian and I drive past, and we're like, man, what's going on there? And he was cleaning it up. And then I believe at this point, there's actually folks living there again, renting, and really is property owner involvement, cooperation.
You had been in contact with him?
Yeah.
About the situation, and so.
Yeah.
So it was sitting there vacant until the cleanup.
No, believe it or not, people were living there.
There was people there.
Yeah, they were living there with the pictures, the prior pictures with the junk and trash. Yes, there were people living there.
Maybe he has new clients in there.
Was that the residents' trash?
Dave, I don't know what some of these things, yes. My fear.
To me, it
because-
seems like a lot of our problem is out-of-town owners.
Rental properties.
Out-of-town owners, rental properties.
So-
Would that be fair to say? That's
I would say there's some credence to that. The new ordinance does address that we have, that we keep that in there about having someone local that we can reach out to, to abate things quicker, that sort of stuff. So, yeah. But owner involvement is so key. But we will keep at it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good job.
You're welcome.
Keep at it, and I know we don't have a city council meeting tomorrow, but I'd like to invite you to the July 22nd city council meeting. And we can give the same presentation, and so that council members know what you're doing all across the districts.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, Dewey. Thank you, Brian.
Good, Brian.
All right, moving into the rest of our agenda, I just want to say thank you to everybody who was involved in literally the task of getting the city ready for a major event such as the Madison Regatta and everything that transpired every day of the week, it seems like, all the way to the conclusion of the championship heat yesterday. Our police department, our street department, our utility department, code enforcement, building inspector, fire department, emergency response, nobody had any time off over the course of many, many weeks leading up to, but including the actual event itself. I think that Madison shined for the world for H1s, and the return to Miss Madison was something I'll never forget. And all the work that goes into it with the Madison Regatta, Kyle Bipes, Tim Bipes, the Miss Madison board, who put on a great show for the fans all over the world, and especially those who were along the riverbank this weekend, surviving through the heat and watching till the very, very final heat was finally driven around, 6 o'clock last night, and then the award ceremony after that. I want to thank Dr. Katie Jenner, who was here representing Governor Braun's office, and all of the dignitaries throughout the course of the week that, made Madison, all the dignitaries and visitors who made Madison part of their lives for the past week. So thanks for all that. As I mentioned, we do not have a city council meeting tomorrow night. We'll resume those on July the 22nd. And 4-H Fair is starting. We were out there setting up for that on Friday morning, so that we'll have another fun-filled event here locally. And I also want to mention for you guys, the transfer station operations have been going very well. The construction for the transfer station physical improvements are underway, so stop by if you guys want to see the work underway. And we've made our first funding of the capital reserve for the TSO, first ever, and we're very proud of that we've put our solid waste and recycling operation on solid footing to the point where we are able to make an investment in its future with capital reserve funding, much needed. And then the team there, under Chris Hale's leadership, are doing a great job. And again, our community is cleaner because of the improvements we're making and investments that we're making in essential operations like solid waste and recycling. So hopefully you guys are seeing the fact, and you see our bright new trucks driving by. It says Madison, clean, safe, and beautiful on it. Nothing more important than the work being done by our teams. You see how much heavy lifting is required in order to have the community that we do have. I'm very grateful for each and everybody's involvement in it and the investment that our community is making in itself. Just to reiterate that, the investment that City of Madison is making in itself is unparalleled, and we're going to continue to push forward for that because we make our community better each and every day that passes. So I will.
You notice also,
Yep.
behind the shopping center, the apartments, the first floor is up on the first building there.
That's right, we're going vertical now. That's always exciting on the residents at Sunrise Crossing.
I was on my way back to the transfer station to look at everything back here.
Look at you.
Yeah. Even my wife enjoyed that little trip.
Board, do you have anything else to add?
That's it.
We'll open it up to public comment. Anybody here like to address the Board of Public Works and Safety? Please come forward now. Not, we'll adjourn. Our next meeting will be Monday, July the 21st.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, everyone.